A train station, railway station, railroad station, or depot is a railway facility where trains regularly stop to load or unload passengers or freight. It generally consists of at least one trackside platform and a station building providing such ancillary services as ticket sales and waiting rooms. If a station is on a single track line, it often has a passing loop to facilitate traffic movements. The smallest stations are most often referred to as stops or, in some parts of the world, as halts. Stations may be at ground level, underground, or elevated. Connections may be available to intersecting rail lines or other transport modes such as buses, trams or other rapid transit systems. Terminology. In the United States, the most common term in contemporary usage is train station. Railway station and railroad station are less frequent. In Britain and other Commonwealth countries, traditional usage favors railway station or simply station, even though train station, which is often perceived as an Americanism, is now about as common as railway station in writing. Railroad station is not used, railroad being obsolete there. In British usage, the word station is commonly understood to mean a railway station unless otherwise qualified. In North America, the term depot is used most commonly as an alternative name for station, along with the compound forms train depot, railway depot, and railroad depot, but also applicable for buses and other vehicles, especially in rural areas where it might be understood as a direct equivalent to stop halt. Outside of North America, a depot is a place where buses, trains, or other vehicles are housed and maintained and from which they are dispatched for service. History. The world's first recorded railway station was the Mount on the Oystermouth Railway in Swansea, Wales, which began passenger service in 1807. The two-story Mount Clare station in Baltimore, Maryland, which survives as a museum, first saw passenger service as the terminus of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad on the 22nd of May 1830. The oldest terminal station in the world was Crown Street Railway Station in Liverpool, built in 1830, on the Liverpool to Manchester line. As the first train on the Liverpool-Manchester line left Liverpool, the station is slightly older than the Manchester terminal at Liverpool Road. The station was the first to incorporate a train shed. The station was demolished in 1836 as the Liverpool terminal station moved to Lime Street Railway Station. Crown Street Station was converted to a goods station terminal. The first stations had little in the way of buildings or amenities. The first stations in the modern sense were on the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, opened in 1830. Manchester's Liverpool Road Station, the second oldest terminal station in the world, and the only surviving station, is preserved as part of the Museum of Science and Industry in Manchester. It resembles a row of Georgian houses. Early stations were sometimes built with both passenger and goods facilities, though some railway lines were goods only or passenger only, and if a line was dual-purpose there would often be a goods depot apart from the passenger station. Dual-purpose stations can sometimes still be found today, though in many cases goods facilities are restricted to major stations. In rural and remote communities across Canada and the United States, passengers wanting to board the train had to flag the train down in order for it to stop. Such stations were known as flag stops or flag stations. Many stations date from the 19th century and reflect the grandiose architecture of the time, lending prestige to the city as well as to railway operations. Countries where railways arrived later may still have such architecture, as later stations often imitated 19th century styles. Various forms of architecture have been used in the construction of stations, for those boasting grand, intricate, Baroque or Gothic-style edifices to plainer utilitarian or modernist styles. Stations in Europe tended to follow British designs and were in some countries, like Italy, financed by British railway companies. Stations built more recently often have a similar feel to airports, with a simple, abstract style. Examples of modern stations include those on newer high-speed rail networks, such as the Shinkansen in Japan, TGV lines in France and ICE lines in Germany. Station facilities. Stations usually have staffed ticket sales offices, automated ticket machines, or both, although on some lines tickets are sold on board the trains. Many stations include a shop or convenience store. Larger stations usually have fast food or restaurant facilities. In some countries, stations may also have a bar or pub. Other station facilities may include toilets, left luggage, lost and found, departures and arrivals boards, luggage carts, waiting rooms, taxi ranks, bus bays and even car parks. Larger unmanned stations tend to have a greater range of facilities, including also a station security office. These are usually open for travelers when there is sufficient traffic over a long enough period of time to warrant the cost. In large cities this may mean facilities available around the clock. A basic station might only have platforms, though it may still be distinguished from a halt, a halting place that may not even have platforms. In many African and South American countries, and in many places in India, stations are used as a place for public markets and other informal businesses. This is especially true on tourist routes or stations near tourist destinations, as well as providing services for passengers and loading facilities for goods. Stations can sometimes have locomotive and rolling stock depots. Configurations of stations. In addition to the basic configuration of a station, various features set certain types of station apart. The first is the level of the tracks. Stations are often sited where a road crosses the railway. Unless the crossing is a level crossing, the road and railway will be at different levels. The platforms will often be raised or lowered relative to the station entrance. The station buildings may be on either level, or both. The other arrangement, where the station entrance and platforms are on the same level, is also common, but is perhaps rarer in urban areas, except when the station is a terminus. Elevated stations are more common, not including metro stations. Stations located at level crossings can be problematic if the train blocks the roadway while it stops, causing road traffic to wait for an extended period of time. Occasionally, a station serves two or more railway lines at differing levels. This may be due to the station's position at a point where two lines cross, or maybe to provide separate station capacity for two types of service, such as intercity and suburban, or for two different destinations. Stations may also be classified according to the layout of the platforms. Apart from single-track lines, the most basic arrangement is a pair of tracks for the two directions. There is then a basic choice of an island platform between, or two separate platforms outside, the tracks. With more tracks, the possibilities expand. Some stations have unusual platform layouts due to space constraints of the station location, or the alignment of the tracks. Examples include staggered platforms, such as at Tutbury and Hatton Railway Station on the Derby Crewe line, and curved platforms, such as Cheadle-Hulme Railway Station on the Macclesfield to Manchester line. Triangular stations also exist where two lines form a three-way junction and platforms are built on all three sides. Tracks in a station. There are different types of tracks to serve different purposes. A station may also have a passing loop with a loop line that comes off the straight main line and merge back to the main line on the other end by railroad switches to allow trains to pass. A track with a spot at the station to board and disembark trains is called station track or house track. track, regardless of whether it is a main line or loop line. If such track is served by a platform, the track may be called platform track. A loop line without a platform, which is used to allow a train to clear the main line at the station only. It is called passing track. A track at the station without a platform, which is used for trains to pass the station without stopping, is called through track. There may be other sidings at the station which are lower speed tracks for other purposes. A maintenance track or a maintenance siding, usually connected to a passing track, is used for parking maintenance equipment, trains not in service. Auto racks are sleepers. A refuge track is a dead-end siding that is connected to a station track as a temporary storage of a disabled train. Terminus. A terminal, or terminus, is a station at the end of a railway line. Trains arriving there have to end their journeys or reverse out of the station, depending on the layout of the station. This usually permits travelers to reach all the platforms without the need to cross any tracks. The public entrance to the station and the main reception facilities being at the far end of the platforms. Sometimes, however, the track continues for a short distance beyond the station, and terminating trains continue forwards after depositing the passengers, before either proceeding to sidings or reversing to the station to pick up departing passengers. Bondi Junction is like this. Many terminus stations have underground rapid transit urban rail stations beneath, to transit passengers to the local city or district. A terminus is frequently, but not always, the final destination of trains arriving at the station. However, a number of cities, especially in continental Europe, have a terminus as the main railway stations, and all main lines converge on this station. There may also be a bypass line, used by freight trains that do not need to stop at the main station. In such cases, all trains passing through that main station must leave in the reverse direction from that of their arrival. There are several ways in which this can be accomplished, arranging for the service to be provided by a multiple unit or push-pull train, both of which are capable of operating in either direction. The driver simply walks to the other end of the train and takes control from the other cab. This is increasingly the normal method in Europe. By detaching the locomotive which brought the train into the station and then either using another track to run it around to the other end of the train, to which it then reattaches, attaching a second locomotive to the outbound end of the train, or, by the use of a roughly triangular arrangement of track and switches where a train can reverse direction and back into the terminal. Some termini have a newer set of through platforms underneath the terminal platforms on the main level. They are used by cross-city extension of the main line, often for commuter trains, while the terminal platforms may serve long-distance services. Examples of underground through lines include the Thameslink platforms at St. Pancras in London, the Argyll and North Clyde lines of Glasgow's suburban rail network, the recently built Malmo City Tunnel in Antwerp in Belgium, the RER at the Gare du Nord in Paris, and many of the numerous S-Bahn lines at terminal stations in Germany, Austria and Switzerland, such as at Zurich Hauptbahnhof. An American example of a terminal with this feature is Washington, D.C.'s Union Station, where there are bay platforms on the main concourse level to serve terminating trains, and standard island platforms one level below to serve trains continuing southwards. Those tracks run in a tunnel beneath the concourse and emerge a few blocks away to cross the Potomac River into Virginia. Terminus stations in large cities are by far the biggest stations, with the largest being the Grand Central Terminal in New York City. United States. Often major cities, such as London, Boston, Paris, Istanbul, Tokyo and Milan have more than one terminus, rather than routes straight through the city. Train journeys through such cities often require alternative transport from one terminus to the other. For instance, in Istanbul, transfers from the Circasi terminal and the Haydarpasa terminal traditionally required crossing the Bosphorus via alternative means, before the railway tunnel linking Europe and Asia was completed. Though some cities, including New York, have both termini and through lines. Terminals that have competing rail lines using the station frequently set up a jointly owned terminal railroad to own and operate the station and its associated tracks and switching operations. Junction. A junction is a station where two or more rail routes converge or diverge. It could be a terminus or an en route station. Stop. During a journey, the term station stop may be used in announcements to differentiate a halt during which passengers may alight from a halt for another reason, such as the locomotive change. A railway stop is a spot along a railway line, usually between stations or at a seldom used station, where passengers can board and exit the train, while a junction or interlocking usually divides two or more lines or routes, and thus has remotely or locally operated signals. A station stop does not. A station stop usually does not have any tracks other than the main tracks, and may or may not have switches. Halt. A halt, in railway parlance in the Commonwealth of Nations and Republic of Ireland, is a small station, usually unstaffed or with very few staff, and with few or no facilities. In some cases, trains stop only on request, when passengers on the platform indicate that they wish to board, or passengers on the train inform the crew that they wish to alight. In the United Kingdom, most former halts on the national railway networks have had the word halt removed from the names. Historically, in many instances the spelling halt was used, before the spelling halt became commonplace. There are only two publicly advertised and publicly accessible national rail stations with the word halt remaining: Coombe Junction and St Keen Wishing Well. A number of other halts are still open and operational on privately owned, heritage, and preserved railways throughout the British Isles. The word is often used informally to describe national rail network stations with limited service and low usage, such as the Oxfordshire halts on the Cotswold Line. The title halt had also sometimes been applied colloquially to stations served by public services but not available for use by the general public, being accessible only by persons traveling to, from an associated factory, military base or railway yard. The only two such remaining private stopping places on the national system where the halt designation is still officially used seem to be Star Halt and Battersea Pier Sidings Staff Halt, both are solely for railway staff and are not open to passengers. The Great Western Railway in Great Britain began opening halties on the 12th of October 1903. From 1905, the French spelling was anglicised to halt. These GWR halts had the most basic facilities, with platforms long enough for just one or two carriages. Some had no platform at all, necessitating the provision of steps on the carriages. There was normally no station staff at a halt, tickets being sold on the train. On the 1st of September 1904, a larger version, known on the GWR as a platform instead of a halt, was introduced. These had longer platforms, and were usually staffed by a senior-grade porter who sold tickets, and sometimes booked parcels or milk consignments. In many Commonwealth countries the term halt is still used. In the United States, such stations are traditionally referred to as flag stops. In the Republic of Ireland, a few small railway stations are designated as halts. Accessibility. Accessibility for people with disabilities is mandated by law in some countries. Considerations include elevator or ramp access to all platforms, matching platform height to train floors, making wheelchair lifts available when platforms do not match vehicle floors, accessible toilets and payphones or audible station announcements, and safety measures such as tactile marking of platform edges. Goods stations. Goods or freight stations deal exclusively or predominantly with the loading and unloading of goods and may well have marshalling yards for the sorting of wagons. The world's first goods terminal was the 1830 Park Lane goods station at the Southend Liverpool docks. Built in 1830, the terminal was reached by a 1.24-mile tunnel. His goods have been increasingly moved by road. Many former goods stations, as well as the goods sheds at passenger stations, have closed. In addition, many goods stations today are used purely for the cross-loading of freight and may be known as transshipment stations. Where they primarily handle containers, they are also known as container stations or terminals. Largest, busiest and highest stations. Worldwide Tangla Railway Station, located in Amdo County, Tibet, China, is currently the highest station in the world. As of 2010, no passenger transport service was available since the region is uninhabited. India's proposed Bilaspur-Mandalay Railway, once completed, will reach an even higher elevation. The world's busiest passenger station, in terms of daily passenger throughput, is Shinjuku Station in Tokyo. The station was used by an average of 3.64 million people per day in 2007. The world's largest station was Beijing West Station in Beijing, but subsequently, several major railway hubs have been claimed as largest in Asia and world, including but not limited to Beijing South, Guangzhou South, Nanjing South, Shanghai Hongqiao and Xi'an North. All of them are major terminals of two or more high-speed railways. In terms of platform capacity, the world's largest station by platforms is Grand Central Terminal in New York City with 44 platforms as part of the East Side Access Project. The MTA will be adding 4 more platforms to accommodate future Long Island Railroad trains. The world's highest station above ground level is Smith 9th Street Subway Station in New York City. Asia. The Shinjuku Station in Tokyo is Asia's busiest station by total passenger numbers. The Shinjuku Station in Tokyo is Asia's largest station by number of platforms. Beijing West Station in Beijing is Asia's largest station by floor area. Europe. Busiest. The Gare du Nord in Paris is Europe's busiest station by total passenger numbers. Clapham Junction in London is Europe's busiest station by daily rail traffic. Zurich Hauptbahnhof, Switzerland, is Europe's busiest terminus by daily rail traffic. Largest. Leipzig Hauptbahnhof in Germany is Europe's largest station by floor area. Berlin Hauptbahnhof is Europe's largest grade-separated and two-level station. Munich Hauptbahnhof is Europe's largest station by number of platforms. North America. Penn Station in New York City is the busiest station in North America. Toronto's Union Station is the busiest station in Canada. Other records. Coney Island, Stillwell Avenue in New York City is the world's largest elevated terminal with 8 tracks and 4 island platforms. The Shanghai South Railway Station, opened in June 2006, has the world's largest circular transparent roof. Châtelet les Halles, in the center of Paris, is the busiest underground station in the world. Approximately 750,000 passengers pass through it per day. The New Delhi Railway Station in New Delhi, India holds the record for the largest route interlock system in the world. Flinders Street Station in Melbourne, Australia, is the busiest train station in Australia and the Southern Hemisphere. Gallery.